Here we are. Happy Tuesday, February the 4th. It is the Recap Lunch Hour with Guff, me, Ryan McGuffey, right here on the Recap. Plenty to discuss. Media Day last night, the annual Media Day in the NFL for the Super Bowl, which is now dubbed Opening Night. It's changed the format over the last few years. I kind of like it. I watched some of it on the NFL Network. I've covered some of those. They're always interesting. They're always fun. There's always a few sidebars. I thought Saquon Barkley had some fun stuff. We're going to discuss that here shortly. I like Jameis Winston being a field reporter for Fox, asking Saquon, hey, I'm a free agent. Where could I sign? And he goes, I think the New York Giants need help at quarterback. So kind of a little dig there from Saquon. Certainly the Chicago Bulls are on the clock as we expect a lot more trades. Joe Cowley and I did a podcast yesterday live, and that's on the channel now, discussing the Zach LaVine trade and what to expect from here. He thinks as many as 4 or 5 guys could go. Vooch most likely to be next, or certainly a guy that's expected to be moved. Lonzo Ball, Kobe White. Some people are saying, why Kobe White? Look, at this point, I know you need bodies, but Kobe White's going to be on the roster for 2 more years, and then he's going to get paid. Are you going to pay him, or are you going to be trying to start to come out of that hole that you got into? Pablo saying, got to get the recap a spot on Media Row at next year's Super Bowl. Look, I actually tried getting a few of these interviews. Sometimes they're virtual, a lot, especially in New Orleans. Sometimes the cities dictate the guest list. But yeah, you're right. It's something to consider. Pablo will get you on the sales staff, man, and see if we can't get you with us. Good afternoon, the real Phil Sims. You guys definitely should be in New Orleans. Well, I like that idea, guys, but you got to look at budget. Let's be honest. You got to look at budget. What's right, what's wrong. There'd be a lot of content, a lot of eyeballs, no doubt. And let me move this light. And I definitely think there's value. Billy, it wouldn't have mattered with our terrible offensive line and coaching. So Billy's answering this question right here. So Saquon Barkley told the Sun-Times, Patrick Finley, that he came damn near close to signing with the Bears last offseason. I kind of knew that. It sounded like he had the Bears in his top 3. I think the Giants were in there until they weren't, until they actually told him, as we saw in Hard Knocks. And then we knew about the Eagles. And then the Bears clearly were adding a running back. They added DeAndre Swift, right? So, yeah, I mean, it kind of hurts to hear, but back to Billy's point over here, would it have mattered? So it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword. I think it hurts to hear in some aspects. It also, to me, it's expected. Like, that's the way I look at it. And with the terrible coaching, you wonder look, let's be honest. We can't compare Saquon Barkley and DeAndre Swift. They're 2 different type of players. Okay. 2 different type of players. And I think Saquon definitely would have had a 1,000-yard season, a 2,000-yard season. I don't know. Pablo, I'm on it. Keep up the great work. Thank you for the content. Let's start a fundraiser to get the show to the Super Bowl. I don't even know where the Super Bowl next year is. I'm going to look. Let's see where we're going next year, Pablo. I like this idea of just going for a couple days of Radio Row. Let's see, like 2026. Where is it? The location in 2026? Oh, Santa Clara. Well, they usually do Media Row in San Francisco. Damn, we should have gone this year. You're right. Maybe the Bears if the Bears are there next year, we will go. All right. Christian, should we trade for Myles Garrett? Great question. It's a question we posed on the channel last night in the rush hour. So a lot of smoke. I mean, we saw Adam Schefter yesterday on the Pat McAfee show suggest the Chicago Bears is a possible destination. You don't just throw that out there with some education. But I'll say this. It's going to cost you. We know that, right? We know it's going to cost a first-round pick, maybe a future first-round pick, maybe like a second. Maybe you have 2 seconds. Would you do 2 2s this year and a 1 next year? I don't know if they'd be willing to do a Myles Garrett trade without getting a first-round back this year. But I would be willing, I said this yesterday, I'd be willing to move the 1 and the 2 twos if you're telling me in free agency that you're checking off 2 linemen and you're checking off at least another one in the draft. Now you're adding Myles Garrett, which you need to address your defensive line. You added arguably the best player in the league at defensive end. So now you have 2 defensive ends. You have 2 free agent offensive linemen. You have Darnell Wright. You got to develop 2 more. And you still have all your picks in the 3rd through 7th rounds. If you're telling me that, Christian, I think I'm kind of in. CC wants to talk Bulls. I would still keep Kobe and Io. I would not be surprised to see one of them go, CC. Talking to Joe, Kobe and Josh Giddey, not necessarily the tandem that Io plays better with Giddey. That's good. You could see a scenario where they both go. I think one of them's gone. I do. And it sounds like it might be Kobe. Kobe might be the guy that can actually bring you back more. So, Christian, I wouldn't give up more than 1 first. So, Christian, are you saying you wouldn't give up a second? Or are you saying it's just one? I don't think the Bears should trade 2 1s for him. I don't. Now, is there a team that could? I think so. I think the Bears have the 10, the 39, and the 41. Pretty enticing if you're offering 3 players in the top 40 of the NFL draft, in my opinion, with one of them being the 10. I see a start bench cut on here. I'm going to get to that, Matt. I like the question. It's a really good one. So I'm going to come back to start bench cut. Phil, again, when do you think the Bulls will be relevant again? Well, I think that's a question you could be asking for a long time. At least they're picking a direction for the first time ever. I mean, that's the way I look at it. In terms of when they're going to be relevant, I think you got it. So it's going to be the rest of this year, all of next year, 27, 28. That's when I think the Bulls will be relevant again, which kind of lines up with the White Sox. So, I mean, God, folks, listen to what we're talking about. Mike's saying I would give up 2 1s for Garrett. This draft is not good, and next year's pick could be low. No guarantees there, Mike. Everybody thought this year's pick would be low. I would do it, but I'm a guy who likes blue chippers on my team. What do I know? Mike, I'm with you. I've always said, and this is what frustrates me about our Chicago baseball team, specifically the Cubs. Give me the best players on your 26-man roster. Not the best prospects, the best players. I want the best players in the game. When I write my lineup card every night, and I could put Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso and Kyle Tucker in that same lineup, I know what that does for me. It improves my chances to win night in and night out immensely. Abdul then used the 2s on an O lineman and a running back. Yeah, I mean, look, you probably aren't as inclined to draft D tackles inside if you're going to sign Myles Garrett. You can draft those guys and develop them later. Plus, you got some guys that you can develop that are already on the roster. And especially if you're getting that type of help on the outside, Arnie, if not Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons expressed interest in the Bears. Yeah, I think the Micah Parsons one's also worth keeping an eye on. He's due for an extension. And I think the Cowboys, if they make him the highest paid player on defense, that could change everything. Money talks, Arnie. That could change everything. So the Myles Garrett one's interesting because the player has pulled the weight out of the ownership's hands. They have to trade him. Now the price isn't going to go down because of that, but now the desperation becomes, if you let this dude stay on your roster as a malcontent, it's going to cause problems. So you kind of have to feel, and this is the time, like you're probably trading him by free agency. And if not, certainly by the NFL draft. I would not trade for Garrett because we just need O-line and D-line help. Okay, I'm not going to read the second part of your thing. I want to go back and reevaluate what you just wrote there, Eric. We just need O-line and D-line help. What position does Myles Garrett play? Not worth giving up multiple picks to get one guy. Build through the draft, have a lot of... Okay, I agree. The Bears need to build through the draft. But this guy is a top 3 player in the NFL at his position. Maybe the best. I don't know. I think it could be worth giving multiple picks away for Myles Garrett. I do. I really do. Especially from a skill set position. Like, you're good at receiver. Running back can be taken care of. You don't need to sign a running back. Maybe you draft one in the 5th round. Receivers, you're good. Tight end, you're good. Secondary, you're good. Maybe you draft a safety late. I don't know, man. Eli says if the Bulls get lucky, do you think that's the well, yeah, like if they get Cooper Flag, this entire conversation changes. I'm just trying to be real here, people. Like, are they getting Cooper? Now, are they going to be in position to get Cooper Flag? I think a lot better now. We know they're keeping their pick from San Antonio, so they're going to be in the lottery if they're a bottom 14 team. We need them to we need them to lose a lot more to really improve those chances. Yeah, I'm going to be realistic here and say they're not going to be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. And they're going to get a good player. And then next year's draft is even deeper. This year's draft, top loaded, top talent at the top 3-4 picks. Next year's draft, that kind of top 10. So it's very deep. Christian isn't happy with the Bulls, period. He says they're a joke. Lip ripper, my man. Hope and pray for the lottery balls to bounce in the Bulls. Hope and pray, right? I mean, that's what we are in Chicago sports. We're hope and pray. I'm sick of it. But yeah, I'm all in. Like, I'll be sitting there like this, like watching those lottery balls. Like, oh my God. Christian, if we do trade for him, we got to be ready to pay the big money to. Well, of course. Very similar to Khalil Mack. Remember the Bears gave up 2 2s or 2 1s, and then they paid him immediately. Like, it would be a very similar. I haven't looked at Myles Garrett contract. I should have done that before it came on here. I'll bring it up, but my guess is it's similar. He signed a 5-year, $125 with $100 million guaranteed. He's with Clutch Sports, which the Bears have plenty of history with. I believe that's where Ben Johnson's agency is. Actually, he's signed through 26. So his cap hit, his base salary is low, but his cap hit, you always got to look at the cap hit. It's $20 million for the next. He's signed for the next 2 years. So you're not just getting a 1-year player. So you don't have to extend him today, which is interesting. Phil says, speaking of the Cubs, I saw that Tucker will sign a 10-year, $350 million extension. Is that true? I mean, I think that's the neighborhood to get the conversation started for sure. I don't think it's like, if you put it in front of him today, is he signing that? He's a Scott Boras guy. Oh, no, he's not a Scott Boras guy, is he? It doesn't matter. Like, very few times. Fun getting kicked out of your own show, isn't it? Fun getting kicked out of your own show as we look up Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker, I don't think, is he going to be eligible for a contract extension with the Cubs? Yeah, I think that there's a shot. Excel Sports. But I think 10 years, 350 is going to be in the neighborhood. Are the Cubs getting Bregman? Not Bergman. You guys did this. We get Bergman a lot in here. Bregman. It sounds like all the reports are saying Bregman, and I've heard this about Bregman. He doesn't want to go to Detroit. Okay. So that's what's out there. He doesn't want to play in Detroit and possibly Toronto. So now, does he need to basically put longer term deals on the table to take a Cody Bellinger type deal? I think that's what's going to happen. If he gets a Cody Bellinger type deal, I think the Cubs are very much in this in the mix for that. Garrett has 2 years left at $19 million. Yeah, he's got a $19 million cap hit this year. I think a $20 million next year, Scott. So yeah, so you don't. My point is, you don't have to give him you don't have to give him new paper if you make the trade this year, maybe next year. So you can you don't have to screw your free agency this year if you can add that player and then keep your $60 million. Now that's going to take a hit on your cap for sure. It looks like the Wizards are getting Cooper Flag. There's no guarantees. That's the whole idea of the lottery. The Wizards are trying like hell for 2 seasons to be really bad. And Joe on the podcast said, no one knows how to tank right now better than the Washington Wizards. They have 8 wins, but the Jazz have 11. The Pelicans have 12. The Hornets have 12. They're not like the definitive runaway number 1 pick. Not with the way the lottery goes. I know Bulls fans will complain because we'll be bad again, but I'd rather pick a direction than being mid. No doubt about it. That's what I say. Josh, like, I don't mind the return for Zach because I don't think it's a bad – they've at least defied where they're going. Is Robertson coming? Are Suarez and yay or nay on Bregman? Bregman is going to be – you're going to have to wait and see. I think he's going to have to either – now, Bruce on our show and Inside the Clubhouse on The Score predicted Bregman would make his decision this week. So we're at Tuesday. So keep an eye on everything. We'll see what happens. I think Robertson has a shot. Suarez, that might cost you a little bit more. That'd be a trade. Fix the O-line first, then worry about Garrett. They might be able to do that, depending on when the Garrett trade happens, Kurt, and free agency. If they can address offensive line and Myles Garrett's still out there, now you have a better feel of what you're doing. Pistol P. What's up, Guff? What's going on? Garrett is 29 or 30. Lots of football. Yeah, people are worried that, he's too old. He's the reigning defensive player of the year. You would make an argument he could win it this year, but the Browns were terrible. He has 102.5 career sacks. He's finished second, or I think he's won 4. He's a 5-time AP All-Pro, a 2-time second-team All-Pro. Dude, he's got a lot of football left. You know that all Cap has to do is make a phone call, and you guys are good to go. Just saying, yeah, I know. Not this matchup, Phil. I've seen. I'm good. I'm good. Not this matchup. I know the Super Bowl's cool. Did you see where the media? Now, no one's going to feel bad about this. Did you see where they have the media workroom at the Superdome in the parking garage? Which, by the way, that's how many, like, you're in the bowels of these places, especially in these big events. I've covered the Super Bowl before. Great event, the best. Everyone's there. The world's watching. And you're watching from like a concrete palace underneath the entire stadium. It's pretty awesome. King, I know the love for our Bears is Garrett. However, the true reality is we got to fix some of the language here. We may lose Keenan, and I want your guess on who we sign in free agency to fill his role. Guff for mayor in 2026. Let's go. Let's get this thing back. Get the city back intact. Appreciate you, King. Hey, Cooper Kupp's available. I mean, I'm just saying, Cooper Kupp came out yesterday. The Rams are going to trade him. Keenan's definitely gone. I wouldn't say may lose. I think he's absolutely gone. I'd be very surprised if they brought Keenan Allen back. I think Rome is going to take a monster step forward next year. I really do. I really like he could be the Jameson Williams of the Chicago Bears. Like, he is going to be a dude. I really believe that. Thomas, our resident pot stirrer. Edge rushers start falling off around age 26, 27, according to Google. Well, shit, according to Google, let's just listen to Google and not the back of a football card that tells you Myles Garrett might go down as one of the best edge rushers of all time. So, Google, cancel our trade for Myles Garrett because Google tells us that Thomas, the average football lifespan is less than 3 years. Should we not go after Myles Garrett? I mean, why draft Caleb Williams? You gotta put everything in a blender here, bud. And sometimes you gotta say, like, and it's back to it's Mike. It's back to Mike's point. Give me blue chippers. You're talking about a blue chip dude here in the NFL. I want to get into. We haven't done one in a while. We should lose our comment here. Start bench cut. We should lose the. Here we go. Start bench cut. It's been a long time. We're going, and I think Matt is our guy who started this, if I remember correctly. The soup edition. I'm a big soup guy. Okay. These are 3 great ones. I'd say 3 classics. If I'm going grilled cheese, you got to go tomato. Obviously, if I'm sick, I'm doing the chicken. Broccoli cheddar in this category for me is a start. I'm a broccoli cheddar fiend. Love me the broccoli cheddar. I'm starting broccoli cheddar. If you had like a chicken tortilla in here, Matt, it's not even close. I'm cutting everybody. Broccoli cheddar one. I'm sorry, broccoli cheddar start. I'm going to bench tomato and cut chicken noodle, which might go against the grain here. And, get that slice of Americana is going to be, has pissed people off. But that's what I'm going to do. If I'm kind of going on like a every day is normal. And those are my three options: broccoli cheddar, start; tomato soup, bench; chicken noodle, cut. And then, I have to ask you the question, Matt, like, you got to put it like, whose chicken noodle is it? Whose broccoli cheddar is it? Is it like a classic soup place? Is it like a Mariano's soup bar? Something to think about. We haven't done one of those in a while. Good job. A lot more coming in. It's soup. Cut them all. Wow. Tom coming in with a hard, you'd call it a sucker punch. The guy's just trying to create conversation. He comes over the top, cheek right to the back of look at that. Cut them all. Be careful, Tom. You're getting up there, man. Soup might be your diet soon. Wow. Love you, brother. Love you. Although Lip Ripper brings a great one up, French onion. When you are in the mood for just like that heavy cheese, some of that French onion, depending on where you get that is a absolute mainstay. Thomas is going to come up here and back up Google that he's got a lot of miles. This team is not one player away. Is Garrett a Hall of Famer? Sure. So is LeBron James. Doesn't mean I want the Bulls and Bears are not in the same spot, Thomas. The Bears are not that far away. They're not one player away, but they're not 10. The Bulls are 10 players away. Come on, dude. I love that you do come in here to stir the pot. There you go, baby. Jess, glad to see you. Start minestrone, bench tomato, cut clam chowder. Ooh, I am benching. I'm cutting minestrone. We're flipping on that. I'm bringing the chowder. Bring the chowder in. Minestrone. Get that everywhere. Some people are lazy with it too. I guess I've had too much lazy minestrone. So I'm kind of out. He has a lot of miles left. Oh, Thomas coming in with the dad joke from the top rope. Thomas, well done. I like it. Landon saying don't sacrifice heavy draft capital for a 30-year-old edge rusher when you could draft a 22-year-old one instead. You find this man in the draft. Hey, Landon, you better effing hope that for the next 3 to 4 years when you have this guy, that he is going to be that guy. I'm just saying. I'm with you guys on the draft capital, but I'm showing you a history of questionable draft, okay, from this regime. So, blue chip player. I think what you do in free agency could dictate this trade. I really do. Thomas, I know that you're doing your research. Okay? So let's just load up a bunch of dudes that hopefully can accumulate 14 and a half sacks a year, like Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is like Luka Doncic not available. Myles Garrett not available. All of a sudden available. You at least make the flipping phone call. Come on. That's what I'm saying. Swayze, someone's finally listening to me here. If we get two really good interior old linemen in free agency, then you're going after Myles Garrett. Someone's finally feeling me. It's about time. Thank you, Swayze. I've always said listening is a talent, not a skill. I'm a big believer in that. You got talent, my friend. Adrian, what I will tell you, Guff, is that Cooper Flagg is the third best teenager in basketball. That tells you how insane 2026 is. See, I need more Adrian in my life because I'm not honed in on college basketball and future drafts like you. I'm kind of looking surface level. Like I watched like the first 15 minutes of that Duke at North Carolina game on Saturday to back up my real Phil Simms point because I know he was all over that game. He asked me for 3 days about it. Cooper Flagg came out of that game and said, hey, North Carolina, I'm going to show you all about this rivalry in my first game for about 20 minutes. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to tell you to hold my beer. He's a dude. But the fact that you're saying third best, wow. I would trade this year's second, Booker, and next year's second round for Garrett. Why are they doing that trade? I mean, lip ripper, there's not a person alive that wouldn't make that trade. Keep in mind they have 2 twos. They have Carolina's number 2 as well. So you're telling me they're only getting a second round pick this year and a flyer on Booker for the best defensive player in the NFL and a second. I'm just telling you right now, there will be teams and probably some in the division that step up and say, no shot, I'm getting him. Adrian, it could be very easily true that Cooper Flagg's the best guy out of those 3, but on a whole, in terms of prospects, Cameron Boozer, I know, give me that, Carlos Boozer's son, and AJ DeBansta are even better than Cooper. That's scary. And again, on the people who are annoyed at relying on luck, unfortunately, unless you are the Lakers, you have to build in the draft like quarterbacks. They only are in the draft. Tatum Brown, Wemby, Paolo, Steph. Yeah, you're right. You got to be able to draft very well because the free agent destinations, Miami, LA, drop off. People want warm weather. They want warm weather. They're not looking at Chicago as like some make it or break it destination. They're like, get me the hell out of that weather, and they can't win. Jess, who is a Lake Erie fanatic, not just this time of year, all year round. I can't see the Browns letting Garrett go without a fight. They don't have much else going on near Lake Erie. So the Bears need to be ready. Everyone's going to have to be ready to step up. There will be many teams with big offers to land that player. If I'm the Lions, I'm definitely putting a call into Cleveland. Garrett and Hutchinson on the same defensive line. It won't even matter who the Bears sign. If those are the 2 guys coming after us. And I'll tell you what, if it's for a price that we could have had him for, that's not like it's going to kill you, not like 3 1s and a 2 or something. It's going to hurt. Are you willing to take that hurt? We'll see. A couple more here as we get set to wrap things up here on a Tuesday. I was on here when people were hyping up Paolo and Chet Holmgren, and I was telling people that Wemby was coming in 23. And you were right. And Paolo's both of those guys, by the way, all 3 of those, damn good players. No, Wemby's different. And San Antonio can become a destination because of the player. No one's lining up to go to the Riverwalk going, yeah, I want to go to San Antonio. All right, so I'm going to do something different, by the way. We are on a little, and I don't know if you're going to like it, Lip Ripper. So you start giving me your bets, but I have an idea for bet of the day. And I wanted to do this yesterday, and it got away from me. It's Super Bowl week, and rather than like doing some bad college basketball game today, I'm deep diving right now. It's props week. I'm going to give you some props that I really like. So I already put this play in when I looked, it was 4.5. My son was all over this play. It was 3.5 in the title game. He hit this in the first 4 minutes with one. Xavier Worthy's going to touch the football. We know that. All he needs to do is spring 1 8-yard gain, and this thing's over. He's way too versatile to not take a chance on this. This has already moved up a yard. So I'm going to get these in now. I'm not going to wait till Sunday. I'm going to get props. Obviously, the record won't change until after the Super Bowl. So we're 16, 22, and 1. I'll give you a prop today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. We'll take all 4 of those and we'll spit out where we finish on Monday. We'll take a look at it. Maybe give you a bonus play on the game as well. But I'm going Xavier Worthy over the 5.5 rushing yards. And last night's was a shit play, and I'm sorry for that. My God. Some bonus, I think he had a season low pretty much across the board. Dave wants to chime in. Looking at the past, Garrett is a very Bear-style pickup. Plus, it'll make us all hopeful in the offseason. It's going to happen. So that's like excitement and then reality. Is that what Dave's saying? Not even about drafting well. The top 5 pick is the highest chance of you landing that guy. Maybe luck out to the max with the SGA or a Jokic in the second round, but elite players don't make free agency. Agreed. Ooh, over Michigan State. What's the line in that game? I bet you it's big. I'm behind you on Sparty. I like that, Lip Ripper. Let's dance. I'm going to give Super Bowl props the rest of the week for the betting lines. And I'm telling you, there's some real value. I've looked at this. There's some real value in some of these players in the Super Bowl. And there's Dave's there. He was excitement, disappointment because he thinks he'd get hurt by Game 4. And then Lip Ripper giving out, of course, a UNLV bet over 140 and have 2 overs for Lip Ripper tonight. Over in the Michigan State UCLA game, over in the Boise UNLV game as well. What do we got on the channel today? Well, we have a recap rush hour. That'll be on the channel later. The Bulls play the Heat. Obviously, their first game. We haven't even talked much about the Bulls. Their first game without Zach LaVine. I would expect trades happening any point. It could happen as soon as we log off. I think everyone must go. It's an estate sale with the Bulls. They got until 3 p.m. on Thursday. That's the NBA trade deadline. Depending on what happens, it's very likely we will have some type of Bulls recap NBA trade deadline special afterwards. And Lip Ripper, I'm just as like I looked up and saw the Iowa State game. They were down 16. I was like, I'm turning this off. Sorry about mine as well. It happens. The Bulls switch the samples. I love it. Landon, I saw that on Twitter as well. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody here at the recap and all of you for watching on a daily basis and chiming in here on this community. Like I said, the recap rush hour will be on the channel later this afternoon, a Bulls recap after they play the Heat. And then just stay tuned for breaking news. Anytime the Bulls make a trade, Joe Cowley on the Bulls Recap podcast will be all over that as he writes for the Sun Times. I'm Ryan McGuffey. This has been the Recap Lunch Hour with Guff. We will see you tomorrow. Have an awesome, awesome day.